Hey, we're talking today about the importance of self-confidence in student life. Do you have kids? Do you have teenagers? Are you worried about their self-confidence? Are you worried about the rise in anxiety among kids? Are you worried about depression and discouragement that seems rampant? Well, let's talk about how you can actually boost the self-confidence in your kids so they can be resilient with all the trouble that's going on today. Hey, thanks for joining me. We are talking about the importance of self-confidence in student life. Now, if you've noticed, there has been this enormous rise in depression, discouragement, anxiety among kids. In fact, I'm shooting a commercial right now, and there's an 8-year-old girl that has tried out to audition to be part of this, and she says that she has had clinical depression since she was 5 years old. Can you imagine that? 5 years old, starting out with anxiety and depression. It's a tricky time. Now, I want to, before I go any further, I want to say depression is a real thing. If you have clinical depression, go see a doctor. Get help in that respect. The ideas I'm going to share right now are really about how to augment that, how to take matters into your own hands so that you can get rid of anxiety, you can get rid of this depression, this discouragement, these doubts, these fears, this negative self-chatter that really holds us down. And it is affecting our kids to no end. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm a commercial filmmaker, and my wife is a school teacher. Now, my wife, she teaches at the high school. I have to say, she was Teacher of the Year last year, which was a wonderful honor. I hear the stories that she tells all the time about the kids. She loves the kids, and she will give them every opportunity to succeed. What surprises me is that so often she hears about anxiety levels that are really high in these kids. She hears about the medications that the kids are on. The kids have these, I think they're called IUDs or something like that, where now there are interventions that come in that the teachers have to make allowances for kids who have these problems. These problems didn't exist when I was a kid. And the rise, what is the cause of it? Well, I have a few ideas that I want to share with you, and hopefully this will help you really kind of take control of your kids, help your kids retake control of their mindset, of their focus on what they believe about themselves, about their self-confidence. Help them to be able to boost that by themselves so that they don't have to rely on these outside sources that are going to save them or help them, or so often they are looking outside of themselves for their identity, and that's not where they're going to find it. So first of all, let's just talk about what is self-confidence. And self-confidence really it's a realistic, and I shouldn't use the word confidence here, but it's a realistic confidence on one's own judgment, ability, or power. And when our kids are not having self-confidence, they are doubting their power, they're doubting their abilities, they're doubting their judgments, they're doubting their identity. They don't know who they are, and it's causing anxiety and angst and frustration among them. Now, you remember what life was like when you were a kid, right? I mean, it was challenging. You were trying to discover your place in the world, and maybe you found it, maybe you haven't quite. But we're going to talk just a little bit about identity. See, identity is knowing who you are, why you're here, and what you're about. And when you have those three things, it brings a wonderful level of confidence that then you're able to be more resilient when things don't quite go your way. So what if you have a specific mission to fulfill? What if you are here, or your kids, if we're talking about your kids, what if they have a specific mission that they're going to fulfill in their lives? And that if they know what that is, and they have clarity on the direction that they're going, imagine how great life's going to turn out for them. Because yeah, they're going to hit obstacles on the way, but they have this clear path as to where they're going. So I live up in the mountains, and there's this beautiful mountain called Mount Timpanogos. It's the kind of the tallest mountain around. It's just gorgeous. We love to go hiking there. Every year, we generally will go on a hike up to the top of Mount Timpanogos. Well, when you're on this hike, you're doing these zigzag paths to get up to the top. And every once in a while, you'll look up at the top to remember where you're going. Well, a lot of times we'll have an obstacle come in our way and we're able to go around it or over it because we know the end result, we know where we're going. But if our kids don't have confidence in where they're going, and if they don't know who they are, when they have an obstacle come in front of their way, they don't know what to do because they don't have that big picture view as to where they're going. Does that make sense to you? So Viktor Frankl, he was the guy that wrote Man's Search for Meaning. He was a psychologist, and he was a prisoner in a Nazi concentration camp, actually several concentration camps. He got moved around. And before he went there, he had written this book about meaning, about one's purpose in life. And he had written this manuscript and he had it with him when they took him to the concentration camps. And the first thing that they did was they ripped that out of his hands and took it away, and he never saw it again. And it kind of horrified him because he had spent so long in putting this research together and all of these ideas and these thoughts that would help so many people. And now he didn't have it in a physical form, he only had it in his head. And so because he had it in his head, he knew he needed to live. He needed to live long enough to rewrite that. And in fact, while he was in the concentration camp, whenever he would find scraps of paper and a pencil that he kept with him, he would rewrite as much as he could from the book about what he could remember. But he found he had a purpose. He had a mission to fulfill in his life because people needed that book. People needed his understanding. And that book became Man's Search for Meaning. A book that has sold hundreds of millions of copies and has helped so many people. But one of the things that he found is that when he was in the concentration camps, he found that there were people that gave up and died. And whether that was just gave up physically and just wasted away, or whether that was gave up and walked into the barbed wire fences or to the places where they knew they would be machine gunned down. But their spirits were broken and they gave up. And he could tell in advance of somebody giving up because of how they acted and how they responded. He could see it in their eyes. My wife will often tell me about kids at school. Her heart breaks when she tells me, when she says the light's gone off in them. She will see these kids and they're so bright at the beginning of the year and when she first meets them. And then a lot of times in certain kids, the light will just go dim and will go off. It just shows that we start out with light. We start out with hope. We start out with zest and a purpose. Well, when we lose that, when we lose our identity, that's when we really start to suffer. So I wanted to kind of share some ideas with you on the importance of self-confidence. So really, in order to build self-confidence in youth, you've got to help them know who they are. You've got to help them know why they're here, and you have to help them have a reason, have a purpose, have a mission. If they know who they are, why they're here, and what they're about, they're going to have that confidence to get over the obstacles, to be able to get to the top of Mount Timpanogos or wherever they're looking to go. And that confidence will see them through when kids are mean, when test scores don't go well, when anxiety goes high because of all the things going on that they need to juggle with their schedules and activities and athletics and all these things. They're going to be able to be a little bit more resilient because they're going to have that bigger picture view. So if your kids are struggling with their identity, with anxiety, with these things, I got to ask, are you as well? Is this something that you need to figure out in your life? And is there something that you can do right now to discover that? Well, I think there is. And I hope you join me through the rest of this series as we look at these things, as we look at how to gain self-confidence, how to figure out who we are, how to figure out the power that we have right now, how to rewrite the stories we're telling ourselves that are these limiting belief stories that are holding us back, and how to open up our minds to just believe in the possibility of amazing abundance. It can absolutely be true. So I hope that helps just kind of get you thinking about how to develop confidence, because you got to understand confidence is not a set point. It's not something that they're born with or they're not. It's not that kids these days are not born with confidence, because you remember what your kids were like when they were small, right? They were adventurous, they were brave, they were creative, they were inventive. They would talk to anybody, and that kind of concerned you. And they could do all these amazing things as little kids when their spirits were fresh and before these limits started being put on them. Well, that confidence is still in them. We just need to reawaken it by letting them know who they are, why they're here, and what they're about. Help give your kids a strong identity. Help them have a purpose, a mission, a plan for their life. And you can boost their confidence so that they can get over any of the challenges that are going to come their way. What are your thoughts? You've had time to think. Now it's time for you to share. In the comments section below, share your thoughts, ideas, and questions, especially any insights that inspired you to take action. Of course, the best place to take action is at scottwilhite.com, because if you join me for a free web class, I will reward you with a purpose planner so you can start each day with confidence, clarity, and conviction. Your identity is your most valuable possession. It's who you are, why you're here, and what you stand for. Choose your beliefs and pick your identity. It is choice, not chance, that determines your reality. See you next time.